Oh man, hot damn! Just finished my Coke. I'm gonna feel cranky because I ran out of Coke. um, what up, everybody? YouTube Live, how's it going? Woo! Like Ric Flair, woo! It's Sunday night, August 4th, 2019, and I'm feeling very sad because I ran out of Coke, and tonight is Euphoria season 1 finale. Um, the good news is that they've renewed the show for season 2, but we have to wait a whole full year for for season 2 to arrive. So it's like I freaking hate waiting, man. It's the most boring job, most boring, tedious, annoying job in the world. Waiting. Oh my God, there's so much to unpack about tonight's episode, but I need a drink. Hold on. Yay! It's not Coke, but it's water. Mm. All right. Let's start with um, Cassie. Let's start with. You know what? On that note, let's start with the fact that McKay is not part of tonight's Euphoria season 1 finale. Yes, you know me. I don't like McKay. I'm sorry. He's my least favorite character. I've told you many times what my reasons were in the previous reviews or previous week's episodes. And like last week when Cassie told McKay like I'm pregnant. McKay's reaction was like, "Oh, me." He's like, what if my coach would kill me, my parents would kill me, this will ruin my future. And it's like, dude, can't you just stop for a minute and just think about her, ask her how she's doing? I like that we had tonight's episode that's minus McKay. I was like, such a relief. I just don't like the character. I'm sorry if you guys happen to like McKay. Hey, that's your prerogative, man. More power to you. But I love the fact that he was a no show in tonight's finale. Um, Cassie in tonight's episode goes through abortion, and it's a tough one. I think the way the show handles it is very considerate, if you will. Um, Definitely not in a way that would piss off a lot of those southerners, especially people the in the southern states that have that heartbeat law, whatever they call it. They'll be like, if they watch tonight's episode, they'll be like, oh my God, no, that's against the Bible. That's not pro-life. um but it's handled in a way that's not anywhere um exploitative of the concept of abortion. If anything, it speaks to the sadness, the heartbreak that Cassie feels during that process, um, the discomfort. It really points out that um, abortion is not something that a woman goes through just willy nilly, like, oh, happy, yay, I'm pro-choice, I'm not gonna have a baby. No, man, it's emotional. It takes a toll out of a person. So it's so disingenuous for those right wingers, or they call themselves pro-lifers, they're pro-wars. It's disingenuous for them to just quickly or simpleton way, in a very simple way, judge women who went through abortion as if those women were happy going through the abortion. No, man. So I think that the way that part was handled in tonight's episode was just perfect. It highlights the distress, the stress, the pressure and the emotion that Cassie goes through, that any woman would go through. I'm not a woman. I'm not gonna be able to imagine or put myself in those shoes. But kudos to writer director Sam Levinson for depicting that process in such a way in tonight's episode that doesn't belittle, doesn't minimize abortion, in any way. So in any shape or form, I should. So kudos, much credit where credit is due. Um, and I love the fact that it juxtaposes it with this illustration of Cassie ice skating. Because Euphoria, as you know, always has its artsy fartsy way of conveying something. Sometimes it can go silly, like last week when we saw Rue pretend to be a cop, detective cop. In this one, it has that feel like, okay, like Cassie is going through this graceful motion on the ice ring, and you see the juxtapose with the her, going through this really tough process of abortion. I think it's pretty deep. It's profound. It's an interesting choice. Ice skating. I would have never thought of that. Um, and the other scene that happens during this whole thing also is Fez robbing from apparently the guy who is the head of the whole thing is some rich asshole, man. I knew it. I knew it. You think that the guy with the tattoos on his face will be like the top of the hierarchy, right? But no, he answers to somebody. It's always the least expected person. And who would have thought that the guy who has everything, has a mansion, has money, has reputation, um, who'd have thunk it, right? That he's the guy who's the head of this pretty much illegal shit. And it just I I like how Fez kind of turns that thing on his head. He like what because he knows he has to rob Peter to pay for Paul. That's the saying, right? Rob Peter to pay Paul, or rob Paul to pay Peter. Um, I just love how it all plays out. It kind of sucks that we didn't get to see the how the whole raid went down and the quick aftermath of that, but maybe it's a good thing too, because it'll probably it would have it would have taken more time than necessary. So we saw in tonight's episode pretty much Fez trying to handle or trying to clean up his own mess, or trying to make sure that he's not in the bad end of the deal when it comes to the guy with the tattoos on his face. The asshole who's the head of it all, the rich asshole. He didn't get to see Fess's face, but he got to hear his voice. So who knows? Maybe in season 2 we'll see that rich asshole again. But Fess did a number on him though. That Fess like beat him up like crazy. That's sad, in front of his kid too. So I'm sure if there's a scenario where Fess and that rich asshole are in the same room, and Fess opens his mouth and says some things, I bet you that rich asshole will be like, I recognize that voice. But until then, I think it's pretty, because we like Fez, right? I like Fez. So for now, it's kind of cool that, okay, he's not dead. No, there's no lead or bullet in his head. Nobody threatens him. The guy tattooed on his face, like, okay, I got money. And he's all square. So as a fan of Fez, I like how that turns out for him tonight. Tyler is here. Tyler says Fez is gonna be messed up next time we see him in season 2. That's right. I bet you that rich asshole, man. Like I said, there's gonna be a scenario when that it's like, oh, I recognize that voice, and that the guy with the tattoos on his face, because he works for the rich asshole. Yeah, a reckoning will happen to Fez, unfortunately, in season 2. I'm theorizing, of course, but for season 1, for the finale tonight, I'm glad that he's okay. Jeff Carrigan is here. Great acting, great directing, great music choices tonight. Exactly. I'll get to that as well. So stick around with me here. Let's talk a bit about the people of the hour, Jules and Rue. Oh my god, the episode starts out with Jules and Rue back together again. None of that Anna girl. I was like, yay! As a fan, remember I said last week, I was like, what? Who is this? I mentioned to you guys the new black girl. I apologize, but her name is Anna. I keep saying new black girl. It's like, who is this Anna girl? Like, really? I want Jules to come back to Rue, and it happens like in the beginning of the episode of tonight's episode. And I was so happy, like, yeah, they're going to winter formal, and look at them painting each other's faces like they're canvas. Because that's one of the things that attracts us about Jules. Jules loves, um, get all these weird looking, colorful eyeliners and glitters on her face. I love it. We love that. Um, so I was happy, but at the same time, Jules was texting Anna, and Rue was not stupid. Rue's not a dumb girl. Rue can pick up that thing. And here's the thing too. I think the it's easy to pick up that signal when Jules starts to say to Rue, "Hey, can you bite me like Anna bit me?" See, that's the signal right there. That's the flag when your girlfriend or boyfriend, if they encounter somebody and that somebody left an impression on your girlfriend or boyfriend, and they come to you, it's like, hey, can you do this that other guy do? Like, maybe it'll spice things up a little bit, and that'll insert in you insecurity and a little bit of jealousy. It was like, I thought we have a thing. Now you want to bring in other person's thing into our thing. So that's the signal, and that has happened in a lot of relationship. And where and they'd be like, hey, it's nothing, come on, it's just an idea, come on, it'll be fun. But Rue is not stupid, and Rue eventually says, are you in love with Anna? And she says, are you in love with me? And I think though, when Jules says yes to both those questions, mm, I love Jules, but that's not cool. Unless you want to, I don't know, be in that kind of open relationship. But I think for a girl like Rue, who I think Rue is the kind of person who wants to be seen as the only person in your life kind of relationship. You know, Eh, I don't think that that's the healthy answer to give to Rue. So yeah, that's my reaction to that. I was like, yeah. Like, what are you trying to say, Jules? You can't be with two people like that. I don't know. That's just me. Maybe call me old fashioned, but I did not like that answer. Um, the whole thing with Jules and Rue running away, dude, that's also kind of fucked up. I'm sorry. I'm sorry. You never ever make a decision on a spur of moment emotionally like that, especially when you're in high school, man. I remember I told you in the previous reviews of previous episodes, like, we've been there, right? We've been teenagers before in our lives, and in high school we thought that that's how it is. Life starts and ends in high school. The universe revolves around us. There's nothing more beyond this. And I told you, like, that's a stupid mindset. That's a stupid thinking. And the idea of, like, oh, let's get out of this town. Let's get out of this shit. I hate this town. You and I can survive out there. Dude, that is your typical. I've had cousins who dated, not cool guys, and they gave grievance. Their relationship gave grievances to their parents, both of them, and they ran away, and it gave them their parents headaches and stress and worry, and it's like, because they feel like they're Bonnie and Clyde and shit. I was like, dude, no, you're not all that. Really back in, son. Really back in. Really back in. Yeah, and as you can see in tonight's episode, Rue has this, has cold feet right at that train, because finally it kicks in some sense into her head. It's like, oh, this is not cool. The people are that my mom, my sister, they're gonna be stressed out. They're gonna feel painful that I'm not around. So yeah, never ever make an emotional decision like that on the spur of moment. No matter how much you hate the town or how much you hate the school that you're in. And I was like, oh, let's get away. What are you gonna do? What are you gonna do to earn money? What do you think that you just get money off of trees somewhere and just live off it? I don't. It's just dumb. It's dumb. So, but I think I'm glad that Sam Levinson puts that in this story, in this relationship with Jules and Rue, though. Kind of like it speaks to the character's growth, especially Rue. It's like maybe there's some hope after all, that they don't think just in the moment, that they think bigger or wider than just themselves. That they can be mature a little bit. So I'm glad that Sam Levinson puts that in there, and also the fact that, of course, it speaks to the stereotypical high schoolers. Um, let's get to the next point. I have on my screen here, but let me get to the chat real quick. Tyler says, I have a love hate relationship uh, with Jules when she's with Rue. Jeff Garrigan says Fez will need the doctor help, and maybe he won't help. Hopefully, Rue doesn't put up with Jules' BS. Tyler Calvert says, at least Jules leaving resurrected Zendaya's music career. That's a good comment right there. I like that. Um, let's talk a bit about Maddie and Nate. Holy crap, Maddie and Nate. Jeez, in the beginning, when in the formal winter, or winter formal, I should say, you know, we were surprised, right? At the beginning of the episode, like, why is Nate going out with this blonde girl? What happened there? Like, wow, they left out a big chunk, and we didn't get to see that. And of course, in the middle of the episode tonight, we finally got to see. um, and it was hilarious. It was hilarious. Nate couldn't get himself hard, and Maddie was like trashing him for that, and it was just like, oh, this is the funniest writing ever, man. And Maddie is the kind of girl that's so sassy and spicy, and she's so blunt, you know. And so of course, she's gonna push Nate's button when she keeps saying like, "What? Like you can't get your fucking dick hard?" And she said that a couple of times, and that's emasculating. And and you know what's funny though? I never thought that Maddie was actually wise when it comes to sexuality. She said sexuality is a spectrum, and she's right. I just never thought that that could come out of Maddie's mouth. You know, that goes to show, I guess, my bias and my preconceived notion about Maddie. I think she's just. I thought that she was just this girl that's just a simpleton kind of girl. Like, and in previous episodes when she always clings to Nate, I was like, "What? You must be dumb. Like you don't want to like this is an abusive relationship and you stick with him." But when she said tonight's episode, she said sexuality is a spectrum. There's nobody 100% gay and nobody 100% straight. She's freaking right, you guys. And it's like she read, I don't know, some psychological book or some shit. But she's right. Um, and I don't want to get too deep into to that, but for those of you out there who think that, oh, you either straight or you gay, no, there's like, it's like this. It's like a long line spectrum, and it depends on where you are on that spectrum. Some people like when or how do you call that? Have crush on both genders. Some people only have crush on one gender. Some people, you know, kind of like, oh, I'm leaning towards this, but not much toward that. When it comes to my sexuality, it is a spectrum, and I guess what I'm trying to say is that Maddie, I didn't give her enough credit. Apparently, she's a lot smarter than I thought. So when she threw that fact, I was like, whoa, shit. Did Maddie just throw a fact on us? That's awesome. Um, when it comes to Nate, though, I got to give credit to the actor who plays Nate. Let's name him. What's his name again? Jacob Elordi. Jacob Elordi has a great scene tonight, and it goes to Jeff's point. Uh, when you say great acting, man, you got. I think as far as acting goes, tonight the highlights are Zendaya and Jacob. That scene in which Jacob has a temper tantrum in the room, um, when he has a confrontation with his dad, and his dad ties him down like on the floor, but then he starts banging his head backward, and it caught, it's like it catches his dad off guard a little bit. I was like, oh my god, what happened to my son? And he keeps screaming and screaming and keeps banging his head. Dude, that is some awesome acting right there. So credit where credit is due. Jacob Elordi, fantastic job. Even I was kind of scared, man. I was like, holy shit. Somebody call somebody, anybody. Jeez, Jesus Christ, what's happening to him? But man, it's like it's like every stress that Nate, I'm sorry, not Jacob, that Nate has felt throughout this whole season one. With him being closeted, with him trying to please his dad, through his football, whatever, and his crush on Jules and all of that. It just, like I said before, if you bottle that all that up inside, you're bound to explode one of these days. And he did. He exploded tonight. It's like bam, like a ticking time bomb finally exploded. And dude, Jacob Elordi, mm, he did it well, man. He did well. I don't know if Jacob will have um, a big career beyond Euphoria as far as movies or other TV shows when this series ends. But for what this is, for him playing Nate, this is the role of a career for him, man. For Jacob, this is fantastic performance on his part. Yeah. So let's see here. Jeff Gargan says, "Can anyone say dance off?" Oh yes, yes. Tyler says Nate seemed to attracted himself through jerking off to his own reflection. Tyler says, "I refuse to let the show change my mind about hating him." Well, yeah, Jacob. As far as hating him, again, that's another credit to Jacob. He plays a great villain. A villain, when a villain works or when a villain is effective, is when you as the audience love to hate him. We love to hate the Joker, right? In DC Comics. What else? There are some villains out there. They're just like they're bad, but they're so bad you kind of like, wow, you kind of admire him a little bit. So that's Nate, and much of that is thanks to Jacob's performance. I love that whole one flash of Zendaya. I'm sorry, Rue and Jules. They were shooting Nate, and Nate's like in a chair, all burned on fire. That's like, oh, what the? That is so gangster. That is so like Martin Scorsese shit, man. Holy crap. I was like, damn, that is something you would see, I don't know, in The Departed or in Mean Streets or whatever. Damn, that was a good flash. The dance off, you're right. Let's tell when Nate comes in, the winter formal, um, with that new girl, and he's like just with his full hand just on that girl's butt the whole time. I was like, damn, holy shit. Like he's really rubbing that in, like rubbing in, and the man is like, and that it's great cinematography too. Like you see the cameras like just pans on Nate and his new girl, and then it pans back on Maddie as like, and then you see the other girls like, Maddie, don't do it. And then goes zooms in again on Maddie. Oh, dude, but damn, holy crap, Nate. Um, just like remember when Maddie has had a somewhat false sex with that guy that took the fall for Nate. in the swimming pool, and now Nate kind of rubs it in. It- just like Maddie rubbed it in that swimming pool, it's now Nate's turn. I was like, dude, this these characters really know how to hurt one another. Kind of like Kat. We'll talk about Kat. Remember, Kat has a romantic moment tonight when she said, like, I just want to hurt you as much as possible when I saw you flirting with that girl. So Nate, Maddie, Kat, all these characters, they have a knack of finding ways to just, you know what, I'm gonna get back on him or her. Just like they're really good at it. um the dance off is hilarious. So and the scene that follows after that is Rue comes out. She sees Nate outside and she confronts him because she kind of knows that, hey, you're the one that caused the raid on Fez. If you ever get near Jules or any of my friends anymore, I will hurt you. I'll reveal things about your dad. And Nate comes back at her. He messes with her head by saying, "Hey, you think this thing that you have with Jules is gonna last forever? Really?" So again, this goes to Nate being a fantastic villain, that he doesn't falter easily. Rue threatens him, like, I'm gonna expose your dad, and Nate gets back at her twofold, man. It's like Nate doesn't. Oh man, he's a great villain. That's how you know a villain is great. That he doesn't fall that easily. Like you threaten me, all right, I'll mess with your head. Oh, such great writing. Such great writing. Um, the music choices in tonight's episode, of course, great soundtrack, but you gotta also give credit to the composer, the score composer. Let's see, find out here the name. Gotta give credit. Well, anyway, that scene in the beginning of the episode, where where Rue's mom is on the stage, and she gives this long poetic narration, like, what if somebody tells you the future of your child, if you will. And so as she says those words, we see montage of the characters prepping for this winter formal, and with the words in the background, so poetic, nicely written. And the music is very, what's the word I'm looking for, very fairy tale like. It's kind of like the kind of music that you would find in the Tim Burton kind of movie. I love that. I can't find the composer here. So anyway, that's an awesome scene as well for me. And I love that tonight's finale, it doesn't start with a backstory on an individual like how it was in previous episodes. We got to see the backstory of Jules or Maddie or Cassie. Tonight was just like, okay, here are the characters, and we saw the Magnificent Six, as I like to call it. Lexi, Cassie, Rue, Jules, Kat, and Maddie on the table together, like freaking Last Supper table. And they have their girl moment, and you can tell it's kind of awkward between Kat and Maddie, because last week Maddie calls Kat a cunt. So it's just great the way it. The last time Euphoria episode has them all in one event together, instead of like, okay, we'll have 10 minutes about Rue and Jules, we'll have 10 minutes about Kat and Ethan, we'll have 10 minutes about this. The last time it was the carnival episode, remember that? Everybody comes together. And tonight, again, everybody's there for the winter formal, and I like that. Of course, eventually the episode dissects the pairs again. Speaking of pairs, Kat and Ethan had a romantic moment, and I love that. Um, Kat redeems herself. Kat redeems herself totally. Last week she got that humbling, right? when she had sex with Daniel, and Daniel's like, "Really? We were together once? I don't remember you." It's like, oh, that hurt. Ah, what goes around comes around. You hurt Ethan, and now Daniel hurts you. Karma's a bitch. But tonight, I think Kat redeems herself, and that moment when Kat is just being so truthful to Ethan, and she says like, "I'm sorry. When I saw you flirting with that girl, I just want to hurt you as much as I could." And Ethan doesn't really have to say back to Kat saying like, "Oh, there's nothing between me and that girl. That was a misunderstanding. That was just my coworker asking me for shift change or whatever." No, he just like listens, man. Ethan is a good guy. All right, Ethan is not McKay, where everything has to come back to being himself, about himself. Oh, it's about me, 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 me. No, Ethan really genuinely cares, and I'm glad that um, in the midst of whatever chaos surrounding the other characters, there's this one sweet moment of Kat and Ethan that kind of gives love and romance some hope. You know what I'm saying? For those of us who believe in that kind of shit, those of us who like, "Aw, that's so adorable." Sam Levinson gives that for us tonight in Kat and Ethan, and I'm glad because despite the fact that Kat was being a dick to Ethan in previous episodes, Kat is still one of my favorite characters on this show. Maybe not up there with Jules. Jules is still my number one, but so I want to see Kat end up being good, and tonight she did end up being good. So, and this relationship that I'm assuming it'll be a committed relationship, it's gonna be good for both of them. This is something real, This is not something that we talk about McKay and Cassie, and I told you that McKay and Cassie are incompatible. And then in tonight's episode, of course, Nate and Maddie finally come to terms with the fact that they are incompatible, and Jules and Rue are finding out that they themselves may not be incompatible, even though I'm still rooting for Jules and Rue. But tonight's episode is like, oh, their priorities are different here, and Jules is like, "I want to get out." And it's like Rue's like, "I can't leave. I got my responsibilities here." So anyway, despite the chaos that happens with all those other characters, it's nice to see that okay, we have Ethan and Kat who are compatible. They genuinely like each other. Ethan is one of those guys who loves big girls. You know what I'm saying? Yeah. Good on you, Ethan. Um, and and I hope that Ethan doesn't freak out though when Ethan finds out. Well, does he know? Does Ethan know about Kat's empire business? The online, the whole business thing. You know what I'm saying? Where people jerk off to her through the screen. Does Ethan know that? I don't know. And if he doesn't know, and if he finds out, I hope he doesn't freak out. Um, right now, I'm betting that hopefully Ethan is a good, genuine guy enough to, if he even if he doesn't like Kat's business, that he would at least have a talk with her about it. Communication is, imperative. That he doesn't just leave out like, "Oh, this is disgusting. I'm out of here." That he would at least have a talk with Kat about it. So, but for now, though, that's a fantastic romantic feel that we got tonight. So much feels, man. So much feels. Oh my goodness. Let's go to the chat real quick here. Tyler says, "I refuse to let the show." The blue canvas is here. Season 2 would have been boring without Nate, whether you like it or not. Exactly. Nate makes the perfect villain. You got to have an antagonist in any story. There's a lot of characters here that I like. And you know what? Speaking of characters that I like, remember I said to you the Magnificent Six, those six ladies on the table that sit like freaking the Last Supper table in the winter formal. Lexi, Maddie, Cassie, Jules, Rue, and Kat. They're pretty much I think you can agree with me that they are the centerpiece of this show. Um, The boys are either bad boys like Nate, or good boys that rarely recur on the show. I mean, like Ethan, he's a recurring character, but he's barely on the show. So either bad or barely there, like Ethan, or unlikable, like McKay. so, but when it comes to these six ladies, they are they're the ones that actually kind of like, yeah, at the heart of Euphoria. Um, and so if you take any of them out, despite what I said to you about how boring Lexi is, apparently a lot of people love Lexi out there, including Euphoria fans that I engage online. So if you take any of them out, it would not be Euphoria. Um, as far as taking Nate out of the story, to your point, the Blue Chemist, I don't think that Sam Levinson would take that direction for next season. I think Nate would still be the villain. I'm theorizing that Sam Levinson will also bring in, how it is with new season. They will bring in a new character um, that would give the other characters a hard time. I don't know if this new character that they're bringing will unify Nate and the ladies somehow, but that's one formula, one theory um, of what could happen. So I'm just spitballing out here. But yeah, those six ladies, man, they are the stars of Euphoria. Definitely. Um, Jeff Kerrigan says, was he on the computer with Kat? Oh, was he though? Was Ethan on the computer? Was that the voice without the screen face on the screen? Was that Ethan? I don't know. I have no idea. If you guys know, let me know in the comment section below or in the chat. I have no idea. So that's a good question. Um, Tyler says, my bet is he knows since I'm sure he checks Pornhub. uh, I was in my feelings during the Rue flashbacks at the end with Donny Hathaway playing. That's right. That's also an emotional. That whole scene at the end, after Rue stays in the platform and Jules, stays on the train. She leaves off, and Rue falls off the wagon, snorts cocaine, and there's this artistic, I guess you could say, performing art thing going on with a bunch of with a bunch of gospel choir, where they lift her up literally, and it was fantastic. It was a great shot. I like that whole sequence. I love the artsy fartsiness of Euphoria. Sam Levinson definitely is a man of active imagination, which is a good thing. We've come across shows or movies that often lack imagination. They're not inventive. They're not visionary enough. Um, Luckily, thankfully, Euphoria is not one of those shows. Um, uh, the blue canvas says, I was laughing hard when Rue was thinking about killing Nate. Oh yeah, yep. We talked about that. Nate's on the chair on fire, and they shot at him. I told you guys that it looks like something out of a Martin Scorsese movie. So gangster. Tarzan, and the whole reveal that the hoodie she wore all the time was her dad's. Yep. The bar is set high for the next season. Oh my god, yes. And you know what? Here's the thing with high school dramas. Um, I don't know. You guys tell me. Is this set during their sophomore year or junior year? What I'm trying to say is that they don't last. High school dramas, unless whatever circumstance that or curveball that the showrunners like gives. Oh, they're staying for another year after senior. God knows why. But I'm just saying, like, it'll end. It'll end. So we'll have to cherish Euphoria, you know, while it lasts, because it's not gonna be like, oh, after sophomore there's junior, after junior senior, and then there's a second senior. No, it's done. uh, Jeff Gargan's thinking junior. Okay, it's very good junior. So we might brace ourselves knowing that Euphoria might only end up being just 2 seasons. And remember, Zendaya is a movie star, so I'm sure she has 1,001 stuff on her plates. Not just this show. The other actors probably only have this show, but Zendaya is busy, and I think Hunter Schafer, because of this show, her stardom shot up, man, to the stratosphere. So I'm sure she'll get offers as well, either movies or TV shows beyond Euphoria. Lastly, before I end this video, I want to say the whole thing with biting. I don't get that. I never get that. I have friends in relationship that are into that kind of shit. I was like, really? Oh, you let your girlfriend bite you? Oh. This girl that I was with about 8 years ago, she she did bite me, but not like in a hickey or kind of bite in the freaking like Jules um, on the waist side. No, no, it's not like that. Um, it's like whenever, for example, I sit next to her and have a conversation, with a bunch of us friends, and then she would like randomly just open her mouth and take a bite on my shoulder. She did that, you know, once in a while, not too often, like to show her affection or endearment, if you will. But that's as far as she went. And I think that's as far as I could handle it. I don't know if I could take the whole what Jules and Anna had. It just I'm with Rue on this one. It hurts, man. It sounds like painful. I, I don't know if that's sexy at all, man. It's like, oh, I don't see that as a turn on, but everybody's turn ons are different, right? Like Maddie says, sexuality is a spectrum. You know, you like what you like. Depends where you are on that spectrum. The what gets you off, man. And it's America. Whatever makes you happy. So if biting is your thing, God bless you, man. But it's not mine. um, Jeff Geiger says, I think it was showing Jules likes pain in life. Ooh, that's deep. That's deep, Jeff. You know that meme? You know that meme where the guy's like, that's me going to you like that. Oh, very, 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 very deep, profound there. That could be it. Yes. The whole biting thing might be an illustration of how Jules likes pain in life. Very profound. I like how you dig deep there. Um, so yeah, those are the notes that I have on my screen. I don't think I left out anything here or any character. Um, I'm sad that tonight is season 1 finale. Um, Glad that they renewed it to season 2, but we're gonna have to wait a full year. Um, Tyler says, well, she did cut her arm with a kitchen knife like it was no big deal at the party. That's right. So she did like pain after all. So what a great show. What a fantastic new show. In episode 1, I told you guys, like, I don't know what this show is. The pilot episode has no story, just a bunch of characters, going through their shit, and they're having like issues and problems. Like it's like watching Requiem for a Dream movie. Remember Requiem for a Dream? But teenagers. I was like, what is going on? And I had doubts about sticking around or sticking through the whole season. But I'm glad that I did. I'm so glad that I gave this show. Like it's like, all right, let me watch episode 2. Oh, this is getting interesting. Episode 3, and by episode 4, I was hooked. I was like, I'm obsessed with Euphoria. So I love it. I love it. It's HBO, man. HBO knows drama. The Blue Chemist says Fesco will kill Nate next season. Ooh, that's a theory. Yeah, throw in your theories. What do you think will happen in season 2? What do you think is gonna go down? And HBO is happy. Tower says HBO is happy. Everyone loves the show to keep people from unsubscribing, knowing that Game of Thrones is done. And a lot of people hated that Game of Thrones finale. I was I was okay with it. I'm sorry. I didn't love it. I was just okay with it, and I gave you my review of that finale and the whole 8 episodes of final season. I was just okay with the way it wrapped up, but a lot of people hated Game of Thrones season 8 or the final season. So thank God for Euphoria. Euphoria basically saved HBO. Like to your point, Tyler, it's like, oh, otherwise HBO will be forever remembered as the network that ruined Game of Thrones. The way it ended, at least. Jeff Carrigan says, "Thanks, Rama, for doing this after show for this great show on HBO." Oh, thank you, Jeff. You are very kind. I appreciate you guys. So thank you, Tyler. Thank you, the Blue Chemist. Thank you, Jeff, for chatting with me all these Sundays of Euphoria. I will be doing live review of Succession. Succession. That doesn't get a lot of buzz, but I like season one. If you guys want to tune in, I'll be doing that. I think the premiere of season two is 2 weeks from now, or next week probably. But here's the thing. Here's the thing. The Blue Chemist. That's right. We got Watchmen coming this fall. But before Watchmen, guess what's coming up? The Righteous Gemstones. Danny McBride. Um, what's his name? Adam Devine and John Goodman. I saw the trailer. It's hilarious. It comes out a couple of weeks from now on HBO, and they're basically making fun of religious nut jobs. I love shows that make fun of fundamentalists and religious nut jobs, and the trailer looks hilarious. So I might be doing live reviews of that show when it comes out, and his Dark Materials. That's right. So there's a lot to anticipate from HBO. But yeah, before we get to Watchmen and Dark Materials, I'll be doing live reviews of Righteous Gemstones. If you wanna, stay tuned for that. I'll be right here when it's on Sunday night. Okay. Thank you so much, you guys. If you didn't get the chance to chat with me right now, and if you have thoughts about tonight's Euphoria finale, share them in the comment section below, down below, your thoughts and your questions, whether you agree or disagree with my assessment. Let me know in the comment section. As always, subscribe, press that like button, ring that bell, and if you can help support me, please do so at patreon.com/ramascreen. Oh God, I love this show. Euphoria. Euphoria. I'm gonna buy the shirt. If HBO has it somewhere, I'm gonna buy it. I'm gonna buy a Euphoria shirt. That's what I'm gonna do now. Let's rock this.